So we're sitting here together with David Neale from Fenergo, to discuss a case study and how the Payzaar platform has really transformed their global payroll operations and delivered great value to their entire business. Before you implemented Payzaar, specific challenges that you were facing, could you tell us a little bit about those challenges that led to finding a solution?
Yeah, like to name a couple, like each country was its own process, its own set of requirements, its own file. And I think the symptoms, a lot of that was, Fenergo grew very quickly. So what might have been an okay process when had 100 people or 150 people, the process became unmanageable very quickly. And then I think the second area was just around the data management. So system controls, approach, how to use data. So yeah, it was probably more of a know-how and an understanding of how an efficient data flow should operate.
All right, thanks. So it seems like it was very localized, local specific practices, which were good in the early days. But if you need to scale, you probably call for standardization. And were there also challenges in getting the payroll results into your finance ERP then?
Yes, the same, exactly, exactly that. So actually twofold, both the ERP and our banking. So it was very manual.
All of these kind of problem statements, what was kind of the business driver to then make a change of the as is to a to be situation?
Yeah, so really the driving force, the leadership team, right from the CEO, the new CFO came in, and they really wanted to instill efficiency, not just in payroll, right across, and the finance function was the pilot. So, there was a real review in terms of architecture, the way we do things, so systems, people, process. And it was, meticulously looked at each individual area, and payroll was one of the biggest pain points, and payroll is 80% of our costs. So it's a huge area for us. So if we can improve that, not only the efficiency and the headcount side of it, but the risk associated, the reputational damage if something was to go wrong. So yeah, the real driver was this change from the top to just holistically look at all our systems and processes, and look for that change that would allow us to scale and become more efficient in the future.
So can you tell us a little bit about why did you choose Payzaar to solve those challenges and to meet those business drivers?
One of the distinctive advantages with Payzaar was, this plug and play, real easy to use. You can onboard countries as you want, and the cadence you want. But also what I liked was the modular basis. So, you can work on the GL part, get that up and running, get some value add. Then let's look at the HR piece. So you could keep tagging on functionality and so you're seeing that value grow over time. So yeah, if I was to go look back at the assessment, it was, do we go with the big consolidator, the traditional payroll solution, or do we look at a Payzaar, which is a bit more nimble and will suit Fenergo's growth model at that point in time?
So can you describe like your experience around the Payzaar implementations?
Yeah, so again, we took a kind of phased approach. We got a number of countries, the bigger ones, up and running, and again using the modular structure Payzaar, we left the HR data grids piece to the side because we knew there was more discovery we need to do on that end for the data preparation, and we focused on getting the entities in and onboarded one after another. So it was kind of one or two per month, get the GL piece set up and starting to get that value add. Really clean data coming in, really deep, clean data coming out. And we were leveraging our data platform, AWS, then to help us both putting the data in and taking it out. So yeah, that was the journey in a nutshell.
Throughout that whole journey, how was the experience of working with the Payzaar implementation team, the people behind the platform?
Yeah, no, excellent experience. And Ramses and Emery were with us, and they supported us along the way. And I've mentioned it a few times to them, but we actually use Payzaar as an example when we're talking to other suppliers and systems to say, this is what we were getting over here, implementing our payroll tool. So no, it's been really, really fantastic. Our HR team got very excited. So they did headcount forecasting, gender pay gap reporting. That was some of the regulatory reporting. So that was one asset, one facet to it, and they really used that data then to drive that reporting, and the accuracy and the timeliness of that data greatly improved. And then on the finance world, within NetSuite, traditionally we just had this P&L and gross pay, and we had no real double clickability. We use a Power BI to sit on top of our platform. We could visualize the data. We could drill in to the employee level, for the right individual who had the permission to see that information. So if the CFO or the business leaders had specific questions on their headcount, it was super easy to drill in and see that information.
What major improvements have you noticed in efficiency since you've been using Payzaar?
Another piece of analysis we are working towards is around the number of touch points. So how many times is the data being touched? So another big risk we had was a lot of spreadsheets were being passed around on the servers over emails, different password protected files, but same passwords for all the files. So it was very risky, and it was from a privacy and security perspective, a bit of a real red flag. So again, we want to reduce the number of human interaction touch points where we don't need them. Just some, initial insight is it's at least half in terms of the number of touch points, if not more.
And have there been any noticeable reductions in payroll errors or improved data accuracy overall after the implementation of Payzaar?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, some of the complexity in unbundling of our GL. So we actually uncovered a lot of reporting issues in our old process. So all of them have been fixed. The timeliness of our payroll runs have now compressed massively. But one thing that we were able to do with the standardization across countries and the streamlining of the data transfer, we can now move all our payrolls to one date. So yeah, in terms of errors, if we've eliminated any timeliness issues or any issues with pay slips themselves.
So in terms of the overall processing time, did you see any noticeable reduction in the number of days in that core payroll cycle?
Exactly. The whole cycle is being compressed. And one of the big issues with us trying to harmonize that calendar or to put change was everyone was always full month, hands to the pump, working flat out. So it almost started from day one on month end all the way through the month, changes and iterations, and to finally get that pay slip out the door. So what we've been able to do now is we've compressed that down to about 6 or 7 days. So that's our kind of SLA at the minute, whereas that was closer to 20 days in the old world.
Wow, so that's a massive 13-day reduction.
That's
amazing. How has the Payzaar platform benefited other parts of the organization, such as finance? Well, you're in finance and HR, and perhaps some other parts of the business as well.
Yeah, so our customer success department, they would have relied on a lot of different Excel files they were doing fully loaded costing for some of their utilization, resource costing. But now they can get a clean report from Payzaar, which, provides them the fully loaded costs for the cost centers that they're specifically interested in. So customer success world, as I mentioned, the HR department use it now for some gender pay reporting, headcount forecasting. Our FP&A team are using the data for budgeting and forecasting for future years.
Were there any other broader organizational benefits around compliance, the risk and control environment that you've noticed throughout that change?
Yeah, well, certainly our privacy, our VP of privacy and security is very happy with the change. A lot of controls were put in place, and the number of and it's probably a good point, the number of people now in the company that have access to this data has greatly reduced. And what I mean by that is people still have access to the data at the right level and the right aggregation, but the people that need to see the really sensitive information is just the people that need the information to perform their job. So we were able to limit that, whereas in the old world, a lot of people needed it for a means to an end, which obviously didn't satisfy our privacy team's wishes.
Would you recommend Payzaar to any other company? And if so, why? David?
Certainly, the short answer is yes. What I'd say with someone is certainly in a Fenergo position, so someone that's come through that startup phase, and they're looking at their system landscape, they're looking at their processes. I would say Payzaar is an excellent fit for structure on your process. It connects up. It's very flexible in terms of ERP choice, your HRS choice. It doesn't really matter. It's still going to work. It's still going to function. So I would say Payzaar is an excellent segue into that, and it actually then helps you uncover where your areas of issue are. So once you start looking at Payzaar, it'll force you to think about your data in a structured way. That pushes you back to the source problem. How do I organize myself better? So it's a journey, but you can add value to the journey from day one.
So how do you plan to leverage Payzaar's capabilities to further drive efficiencies and innovation within Fenergo in the future?
Fenergo has plans to acquire companies. Now, we know we have a fantastic blueprint now for payroll, and it's very easy to plug and play. So in the event, we acquire a company, it has 5 different countries, let's say, 5 different payrolls, we hand them the manual of this is how we do Payzaar. So we're very excited by that we now have a solution that not only is scalable organically, but through acquisition, we can really move quickly. The sky's the limit in terms of what we want to do next.
Thanks so much, David, for sharing all the insights and how the Payzaar platform helped you deliver the business drivers and the goals from your overall C-suite team. You're an amazing customer, super important to us, and we hope to chat with you soon. Thanks so much.